If you're a commander who loves the heat of battle, the BattleMaster may be the perfect mech for you. Its combination of speed and firepower is great for leading a charge to break the enemy line or rushing into the thick of things to rescue a dire situation. Let's go over everything you need to know about the BattleMaster in BattleTech Classic and how to use it to its maximum potential. After that, I'll show you an experimental design that'll turn the BattleMaster into a mech-killing juggernaut. Production year, 2663, Star League era. Name, BattleMaster, BLR-1G. Weight, 85 tons. Faction, all inner sphere. Role, Brawler. One of the best known mechs in existence, the BattleMaster is armed with a Donald PPC, 6 Martel medium lasers, 2 of which are rear facing, a Holly SRM-6 rack, and 2 Sperry Browning machine guns. During the Star League era, many BattleMasters were designed as double-seater mechs, meant for a veteran pilot to drive and keep their commanding officer safe, while the commander sat in the second seat and coordinated his attack with the help of an advanced command console. Many of these computers have been lost over the years, leaving the BattleMaster with its distinctive, but slightly vulnerable jelly bean-shaped cockpit. For an assault mech, the BattleMaster is relatively common, making up between 3 and 8% of all assault mechs deployed by the Great Houses. The design is produced on Twycross, Pandora, and Keystone, but due to its sheer size and complexity, only a few new BattleMasters are produced each year. Offensively, the BattleMaster is a brawler. It has 4 forward-facing medium lasers and an SRM-6 for close range. All of these weapons are torso-mounted, which means it can fire all of them before following up with 2 punches. Its drawback is that it only has a single PPC for piercing and long range. The 2 rear-facing medium lasers and arm-mounted machine guns are also not great, as 2 medium lasers will not be enough to drive off an attacker, and anti-infantry duty should be covered by lighter mech classes. Defensively, while the BattleMaster's armor is an acceptable 14.5 tons, which puts it at about the same as the Orions, it has a critical weakness on the left torso. The location packs all 3 tons of the BattleMaster's ammo, which puts it at a moderately high risk of ammunition explosion. A clever attacker will exploit this vulnerability by rotating to the BattleMaster's left side during the fight. Mobility-wise, the BattleMaster is good by Succession Wars standards. Its 4-6 movement means it will keep up with the main battle line, and combined with its tonnage, allows for devastating charges. This maneuver is particularly effective at bulldozing lighter armored bodyguard mechs. In lance compositions, the BattleMaster helps form the front line for its unit. It brings a good amount of critical hit potential and has the command mech quirk to give its lance the tactical edge. A balanced lance composition will round out the unit by having another brawler or bodyguard mech to accompany the BattleMaster, like the Centurion, mechs with piercing and range weapons, like the Marauder, and perhaps a flanker mech, like the Shadowhawk. While I have yet to analyze all the assault mechs available to us, Commander, I feel I can rate the BattleMaster a B-tier mech as an initial grade. It's a relatively easy-to-use design, whose flaws can be compensated for by a situationally aware pilot. It does have a bit of an all-in fighting style though, so if we're looking for something more balanced, we can take a look at the Steiner 1S variant that swaps out the PPC and a few close-range weapons for LRMs. I think the MechTechs and I have created a design that's much more interesting for our Mercenary company though, but first let's go over how to pilot the original design to its maximum potential. Oh, and by the way, Commander, if you'd like to add me to your Mercenary company's advisory staff, all you have to do is click the subscribe and bell icon on the video below. The BattleMaster is fairly straightforward to pilot. There are really only 2 things to consider. First, to determine how much ammunition it can afford to eject to raise its defense, and second, when it should commit to a fight. Pilots should focus most on the second part, as once the BattleMaster enters the close-range brawl, it'll often find itself in a situation where it must win. While its speed is good enough to get into a fight, it's often not enough to escape should the fight go bad. As mechs are entering the battlefield, the BattleMaster should deploy mid to late in the initiative to try to hide where its battle line will form. Faster mechs, who can reposition easily, should go first, followed by the BattleMaster and its bodyguards. Immediately after that, the BattleMaster should raise its defense by dumping ammunition it considers unnecessary. If there are no enemy infantry, or that task can be handled by other mechs, BattleMaster pilots should strongly consider dumping the machine gun ammunition. Additionally, if pilots will be fighting in just 1 or 2 battles, they should also consider going down to a single ton of SRM ammunition. 15 salvos should be more than enough for a single battle and can be made to last for 2 battles. As the fight opens at long and medium range, the BattleMaster should play around its unit's composition. If the unit has superior long-range firepower, the BattleMaster should block for its range allies and just shoot its PPC. While this is inefficient for the BattleMaster, it may be better for the unit as a whole to soften up the enemy first. This way, the BattleMaster can wait and see how things go before committing themselves too early. If the enemy has superior or roughly equal long-range firepower, and the BattleMaster's lance decides to take the fight, the BattleMaster should use cover and run to 6 hexes or less, where it can bring its brawl weapons into play. Once in the brawl, BattleMaster pilots have a piercing, hybrid, and critical hit combination to fight with. It should try to open a location with its piercing combination before trying to crit that location out. At this stage, pilots should still keep their heat at 4 or below as they look for an opportunity to get into hand-to-hand combat or charge a slow-moving target. The charge is a high-risk, high-reward maneuver that should be done from 3 hex range or more. This will do 26 to 43 damage and possibly knock the enemy mech over. Running into close combat to punch with both fists is the more stable of the two options and still allows use of the BattleMaster's torso-mounted weapons. Once in melee, the BattleMaster should generally activate later in the initiative to outmaneuver its opponents and should continue to punch with both fists as it fires its torso-mounted weapons. Now let's go over to the mech bay and I'll show you a simple refit that turns the BattleMaster into a dedicated line breaker. We're designating this experimental BattleMaster BLR Slimex-1 and naming it Arminius. We're removing the machine guns, rear medium lasers, 2 heat sinks, and a ton of SRM ammunition to make room for a massive hatchet and an additional ton of armor. The refit gives the BattleMaster a second piercing attack with its hatchet, which will do 17 points of damage to a single location. It also improves the BattleMaster's defense by increasing its armor and reducing the ammunition explosion chance on the left torso. I can understand if this all-in fighting style is not to your taste, Commander, so if you're looking for something with more balance, I'd recommend swapping out the SRM and a few weapon systems for an LRM-15 and 2 tons of ammo. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe for more.
Yeah, we ran out of patience for your love with the